So setup wise, we said was pretty good. We obviously can't see grip pressure, but I think make sure when we are holding the golf club, we are gripping it fairly loose, okay? Because if we are squeezing it tight, trying to hinge the wrist is tricky, okay? But to make sure every setup, we go through the sequence of club down first behind the golf ball. Depending on what club you've got, whether it's a pitching wedge, a putter, or a drive, or anything in between, the club just sits down flat on the ground. He wants to sit. You then put your hands on the club, gripping it, and in the job of doing that, then you set your body around that. So it's club first, gripping the club as we tilt forward. Once you've got your hips, your shoulders and your arms and done set, you then just put your feet apart into a position of comfort. And by doing it in that sequence, you'll never then stand the golf ball uncomfortably. So if you're choosing where your feet go based on a position of comfort, you're going to be comfortable. If you're guessing where your feet go first, you go, okay, right, that feels about right, and then put the club down, oh, I feel too far away now, shuffle, oh, I feel too close, oh, hang on, you're always going to be guessing. And if you, I reckon a lot of golfers, they'll play rounds of golf or on the range, and they'll have a variety of shots. And I think a lot of them come from different setup positions, only by small amounts.
Yeah.
But we know in golf, you're going to be that far different from shot to shot, and it's 50 yards all over the place, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so once you are looser with your grip pressure, the thought we were trying to get you to do now is sort of hinging the wrist. Before, your left wrist went down, we call it a little bit bowed, that left wrist is going underneath, okay? So therefore, when you get to the top of the backswing now, that's as far as you can basically swing it, okay? So your club face now is pointing back to the wall there. You're in a closed or hooded position. So therefore, when the club comes back now, it's going to be pointing to the left there. So what you've got to try and do to keep the golf club straight is then put your hands forward, which de-lofts it again, and then you're trying to get underneath the golf by leaning back. So now you're playing a sort of thin, hands forward, de-lofted golf club. So the information then you give your golf ball when you make contact is a 7-iron, de-lofted to probably about a 5-iron, roughly speaking, maybe more, leaning on your back foot, catching half the ball. So it's a finish shot. So it's going to go low all day, and it goes fairly straight because you've got to close it. Sort of, it goes sort of close to sort of square as you come through it, but you're losing a bit of distance as well. Okay, so swing wise, as we said, club's going to go back now. We're going to start hinging the wrists, and now you make a backswing. So the difference now we can see in that club how much further that club's travelled in comparison to that. That's just more power being created. Now I'm going to try and whack the golf ball hard. What we need to then work on, I'd say probably maybe. You could work on it a bit now. I don't want to try and give you too many things to think about at one time, but eventually from the top of the backswing you've got to start moving to the left side. Get the weight onto that front foot, not trying to get up and underneath it, okay? But you'll hit the ball higher once that wrist hinge has been sort of engaged on the way back. The better the wrist hinge, the more loft you're going to keep on the golf club. And it's loft of the golf club added to swing speed, okay? Gets the ball up in your hands, where the tall professionals hit the ball so blooming high because there's so much club head speed. The ball's in the air for an hour in the day, isn't it? Okay? And if you watch, I mean, probably Zach say, a good golf hits the ball hard, it's in the air for a long, long time. Yeah. Which is a good thing to a lot of times. There are times when you want to bring the ball flight down, but having the ability to hit the ball higher is definitely a skill to be able to do. If you're a low ball flight, it's great in windy conditions, great out of the trees, but if you've got to try and land on a green over a bunker, you can't play it. And you're always going to be playing around these obstacles because you can't go over them and try and land them on the green. So getting that wrist hinging, which comes from a looser grip position, then as you come back to golf ball now, you can still see there's a little bit sort of leaning as you come in, sort of trying to hang back on it slightly to try and get up in the air kind of thing. At this point now, we'd look to try and see as your sternum sort of over the golf ball, okay? And I would certainly suggest that position there, we're a bit behind the golf ball side. So your club now is going to bottom out pretty much where that arrow is. We sort of start off with the ball next to the tee, so we are a little bit behind the goal. Hence, when you're at the ground, it's always behind the ball, never in front of it. Okay?
You see what I'm leaning there, kind of.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Leaning there and going back. So as you then come through now, you get through to an okay position because that latency, you can't hold that position because your spine, unfortunately, and your head being the heaviest part of your body, is going to be one of the heaviest parts of the body. Leaning back slightly, you then fall back onto your right side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So looser, hinge, work on that hinge of the wrist, I say, for the most part. We'll then have a few movements now and perhaps give you some drills to work on in terms of moving forward, but I think get that wrist hinge working better. For me, think of one thing and get one thing working 100% rather than think of four things and do nothing. Okay, right, a couple more to make and we'll see how we go, okay?